The BMW 3 Series has defined the sports sedan segment for so long, it almost seems like a foregone conclusion. Can the F30 hang on to the sports sedan crown?
Or will one of these upstarts steal the keys to the kingdom? The steering has a great weight to it, which BMW has always done pretty well, and I do feel like I'm connected to the tires, but I don't feel as dialed into the chassis as I have in other 3 Series.
GM's engineers have done a brilliant thing. They have figured out how to make this car handle like it shouldn't. The Lexus we're driving today is the 2014 IS350 with the F-Sport package.
This car's about to show up in showrooms when we're driving it, so we actually have a pre-production press version of the car.
When I picked this car up from Lexus, I was a little afraid because I just drove it normally and I was thinking, oh no, just another neutered Lexus that just doesn't have any personality whatsoever. Because to me, that's what Lexus has been, just really nothing there, no character to speak of.
Now, in spite of the fact that the IS has been Lexus's attempt to have a sporty car in their lineup, the last generation just never really lived up to the hype. Even in the ISF, it was less than I wanted it to be. Lexus and Caddy have come to play in a real effort to shed the image that most people have of them.
This car is also fighting the Cadillac to be the least expensive car of the bunch. That's extremely impressive for the stuff Lexus is bringing to the table. This car is taking a lot of cues from the LFA supercar. And I don't mean just the styling. Now look, there are some beautiful lines on the Lexus. The problem is they're intersected by other beautiful lines that create strange looking shapes, sort of like two beautiful celebrities who have ugly children.
This sweep past the rear wheels looks like someone actually just bumped the designer's arm while they were in the middle of the sketch. And the front, wow. This styling is so aggressive it's almost shocking.
The front spindle grille shape looks exactly like the Predator to me.
Wait, that's it? It's the Predator, and now I cannot unsee it.
Lexus has reinterpreted the gift that Audi has given the world with their signature LED lighting, but the Lexus lights are now detached from the headlight cluster, looking like a check mark or a Nike swoosh symbol, adding complexity and cost, and making repairs to this car possibly even more expensive.
The interior on the IS is awesome, with some serious carryover from the LFA. Of course, the center gauge is directly from the supercar, but the seats and seating position actually feel related as well. It's simple in here and black and very cockpit style. If you took out the analog clock, I'd actually believe this was a sports car.
The instrument panel display is configurable with a button on the steering wheel. It gives it very different information readout for sport modes. Something else intriguing is the actual track button mouse with a molded palm shape that fits your hand. And I found myself using it while driving and not distracted by the technology. The Lexus feels like you're sitting way down in it. The seats are one step above Sparco racing seats, which makes this a snug place to sit. I prefer the driving position of the Lexus far above the other two cars.
Rear seat room is tight, better than the Caddy, but not as good as the BMW.
Now this has the carryover V6, but what's great is the transmission knows what to do with the power. The ratios feel perfectly suited for the power band of this car. But what I would like is the power to come on sooner. As you roll onto the throttle, exiting a corner, I want the power to be instantaneous, and it just isn't.
The power in the Lexus is enough. It's not astounding. It's not a constant, impressive surge like the BMW is. Now, when you get it out of normal mode into Sport or Sport Plus, the engine adds this high-pitched, frankly annoying whine. Maybe that's a pre-production thing, but I kind of doubt it. It just seems like it takes on this high-pitched blender extra noise above the engine noise. It's just not very attractive. But the car has multiple modes for you to set it in. It has eco, which is what you do if you want to have a fight with the gas pedal. It has normal, which is essentially like a Camry. And then it has sport and sport plus.
I don't think I've ever experienced a car with such a switch in personality. This car is equipped with adaptive suspension and a variable steering ratio that is as quick or quicker than a lot of sports cars we've driven in. And what I've found is I've thrown it into some corners that I've thought were pretty high. And because of the way this car plants itself, I've realized I could go a little faster. Okay, now it pushed there a little bit in the corner. So, all right, it understeers just a little bit. But the simple solution to that is more power.
Now this variable electric steering is precise enough, but there's really no feel. I mean, when you change it from normal to sport plus, the steering gets heavier, but it doesn't get more informative. So if you take this car and you wrench it toward its most aggressive settings, something really amazing happens. I'm just really surprised at how agile this car feels and how it actually feels smaller than the other two, even though it really isn't.
That's what I'm loving the most. And dang it, traction control is still kicking in. I told it to stay off.
The traction control on this car is a bitch. It will interfere and actually introduce understeer into the equation, especially on downhill corners. This traction control just butts its head in and ruins the line you're on.
It says it's off on the dash, and it's still intervening. The car is still pushing through corners. And also, the steering is accurate, but the Cadillac far more so.
When you're in normal, and certainly when you're in eco mode, this is kind of a car without much personality. But the minute you put it in sport or sport plus, it has all kinds of personality. In fact, it's surprisingly fun to be around. I just said that about a Lexus. I don't know how I feel about that. This is a confusing day.
Here's the funny thing about the Lexus. You can't point to any one particular thing that it does really well, like the suspension in the Cadillac or the engine in the BMW. But this IS350, the whole car is working together as a team, all the parts. Except for that, traction control kicking in again.
Now, I honestly don't think it's going to be this rewarding in anything other than this full F-Sport IS350, but in this version, it is a genuinely fun car to drive without the traction control.
I'm coming away impressed. Lexus, you have done something here. I am sure impressed with this car. The big problem is I don't want to look at it.
I am thoroughly enjoying driving a Lexus. I've never even thought that sentence, let alone said it. So when you talk sports sedans,
Yeah.
you have to bring the Beamer. And I'm glad we got
Sure.
an F30 finally for the show.
Yeah,
We've
we
driven
did.
it a bit, but
We
we haven't
did.
driven it for the show. The thing about this class is BMW wins this class so often and forever that it's actually become boring. And I still came in
Yeah.
expecting BMW will win.
I came away shocked, honestly.
This has been the toughest day I've ever had to come to a conclusion for this show. Every time I got a
Okay.
different car, I was a little bit more confused.
Well, usually you have a pinpoint. You usually
I can
know
usually
right away.
find it really quickly.
Yeah.
And you know
Yeah.
me. Normally, I'm only thinking one thing. Driver focused, driver fun on a
Right.
road like this.
Yes.
But I actually think this market segment's about more than that.
Well, there's strengths of each that I want to take out of each car and put together to build the perfect sports sedan.
Okay, so what is your favorite though? This like this?
Just like this, I admit, I never thought Lexus could build a sporty car, something that is focused on a driver. They build
Yeah.
luxury sedans.
Uh-huh.
I am shocked to say that I like the Lexus the best. I know,
Where's
because of its good all-around capabilities.
Okay, but where's the BMW? What did you do to the BMW?
It's last because the Caddy's better. I can't believe I'm saying this, but the BMW's third. I choose this car first, and dear God, this is the ugliest car here. I'm the least attracted to it.
Yeah, it's
The car that I don't want to get in is the one that I'm choosing first.
It's not pretty. Here's the thing. I realize all I care about is a car that's great on a winding road, but if you're paying 50 grand and you want one of these, you want some luxury, you want some prestige, you need some room.
I can see that.
It needs to be a lot of things, more than just the driver experience that I worry about.
Okay, all right.
If I think driver experience, it's Caddy, Lexus, Beamer. If that's all I'm worried about.
BMW's last for you too?
But hang on. If I think about this market segment, and the fact that these cars have got to be well-rounded. Sports sedan is both those words. It's got to be a sports car, but it's got to be a usable luxury sedan.
Okay.
If I think that way,
the
whole order changes. And suddenly it's Lexus, Beamer, Caddy, and I'm going to have to stay there.
So you arrived at the Lexus too, but for different reasons.
For totally different reasons.
Well, so have you driven these cars? You need to drive them.
Makes the best driver's car, and Lexus made the overall winner.
I can't believe that. Lexus made a damn good car. You have to drive this car.
We picked a Lexus first.
We picked a Lexus.
Thank you for playing. Thank you for watching, and we're done.
As a true driver's car, the BMW is third for me. I hate to say that. I know. I love German cars. I love how they're built. I love what they do, but this car is third.
And if you're looking for a commuting sports sedan rocket ship, this probably still wins. But if you're somebody that carves the canyons or goes to the track or seeks out a windy road, this 335 is less satisfying than the other two.
What makes this car rate so highly for me is the way it plants itself, the way it rides, and the magnetic ride control is just unbelievably brilliant.
If you're buying a luxury sports sedan for its cruisability and its high-speed blasts and what it does for you when you put your foot to the floor on an on-ramp, you're kind of going to miss the glory of the ATS, and I think you're probably going to want to pick one of the other two.
If you're not going to make me look at this car, I would be happy to sit here and drive it. Because for me, the driving experience, it does all of these things so well, I would pick this car. This is my number one choice, and I never, ever thought I would say that about a Lexus.
In this group, the Lexus isn't the best at very many things, but it's getting second place a lot, and ultimately it's making it rise to the top.